Well, Heidi ho, YouTube land. For those of you, the very few, the very proud, that's kind of been watching my videos, you've seen the old battle axe sitting in here for a while. Now, this ain't really my cup of tea, but, you know, whatever. Trying to get the thing fixed. My brother brought it to me. He'd worked on it. He had another guy work on it. He bought a new stator. Here's the original stator. He bought a new coil. The original coil's laying somewhere. He'd even bought a new rectifier, whatever, for the charging system. Bought a new CDI box. And this thing right here is the only thing you can't check with a meter, really. I mean, unless you're smarter than I am. I'm not the sharpest peanut in the turd, but... So, I got on YouTube. Hey. Shout out, yo. I got on YouTube and I watched videos, and it's just like pulling teeth trying to find the exact problems. There was all kinds of videos on, Honda, no spark, So, they had some videos on there on how to check the CDI box, how to check the stator. This has got a little trigger in it. That trigger makes continuity to ground whenever it rolls across the top of these coils, blah, blah, blah. There's plenty of videos on that, on how to check these. You can check the resistance across your yellow wires, across these coils here. Check all that. I checked that on this one. This one's good. This is the original one he took out. It's good. There's no problem with that. It's a pain in the rectum to get out. But it was good. The coil he had, this is a new one. El Cheapo. From China. It checked good. His original coil checked good. I don't know, it's laying around here somewhere. Anyway, it checked good. Something like, I don't remember, so many thousand ohms on the secondary side, and then of course you're supposed to have as close to zero as possible on the primary side, I believe is how it was. Anyway, that checked good. That was all good. So, and he had bought a little cheap Chinese CDI box. And I've been through this thing, man. I went through the wiring harness. Man, we've got something shorted to ground. We don't, no fire at all. It just would not fire. And I couldn't get no voltage to my coil. I said, well, it's not getting voltage to the coil. I was getting some voltage here. To the best of my knowledge, I think it was what I was supposed to be getting there. And so I told him, which was my bad, but hey, I'm sharing this with you guys so that if you have one of these things and you buy these cheap, $10 parts to go on these things, 20 bucks, whatever, the really cheap crap you can pick up from eBay. Hey, I mean, I think it's awesome you can get the, $100 part for 20 bucks, but now listen, I run into that on my old boat motor there. It was a hunk of crap, the fuel pump. So I told him, man, I said, I've checked everything, and I think it's that CDI box. That's the only thing you can't really check with a meter, or I don't know how to check. Can't find anything on really checking it. I swear I think it's it. A buddy of mine had the same problem. They bought a cheap one. It didn't fix it. So they hem-hawed around with it forever. Finally, they bought a good OEM used one, I think, that the guy said was good. Stick that back in there. And so, boom, that fixed it. So we got this one in, brand new. He gave $100 for that. I stuck her on there, went to cranking, no spark. I was sick to my stomach. I was like, oh man, no way. No freaking way. Anyway, long story short, I tore back into it. I said, man, there's only 3 stinking things that make this thing fire. Got a stator down here, That's this thing. You got that CDI box, which basically takes place of your points, the old points back in the day. That basically makes contact and then don't. You know, you got to break that ground. You got to break contact in there before you can get fire down here. And then this thing, your coil and your spark plug. That is it. If those three things are good and there's voltage, AC, this is all AC stuff, voltage, you will have spark. So I thought, man, he's got a wire melted somewhere. I just missed it. So I went through, nothing. And so I started checking from ground. All of my grounds come to a central area right here. Almost, pretty much. There's just a whole wad of these grounds that go there. Alright, and so I'm checking all that. And here on my stator, I could check my blue wire, which goes to my trigger, as you can see on this one. I could put my meter there, stick the black prong of my meter on the ground, stick the red one on here and check continuity, and slowly pull the pull rope. And I have continuity and then it'd break. I'd have it and then it'd break. So I could tell that was this thing as the flywheel, I guess. As the flywheel spun across through there and everything made connection, we were getting continuity. The trigger was being made, all that, as it cranked. Up here, that same wire going to my CDI box, it had continuity ground all the time. The ground was never broken. So I said, that's not right. That ground's got to be broken. It's got to pulse. That has to send a pulse. That trigger has to pulse up here to that CDI box. Yeah? So I came down here to this little cheap Chinese stator plug-in, and I come to realize when I looked at that, I said, well, here's ground and here's trigger on your wiring harness. Ground and trigger. And when I roll it over to this side, you can see they're crossed now. On the side coming from the cheap Chinese stator, the ground was actually over here on the trigger plug, and the trigger wire was actually over here, which is supposed to be ground. Long story short, it came from the factory, from the manufacturer, with those two prongs in the wrong place. They were switched, they were backwards. Thus, the trigger was grounded all the time, thus the ground not ever getting broken, thus no spark, because he was getting no pulse to the CDI box. I'm sorry. Now maybe the newer models were switched. I don't know, but that's what I ended up finding. So for all you folks out there that's got one of these you've been working on, and you say, man, I got new coil, I got new CDI, I got new stator, still got no spark, that's probably what it is. Check this out. Ooh, see all that nice little spark there. Anyway, that's I hope this helps somebody, man. I have racked my brain messing with this thing. I hope this helps anybody. If it helps one dude or dudette, any one dude or chick down the road working on one of these, and they've done what I've done, then big old thumbs up right there. Anyway, now she's set up for high speed, low drag, fellers. Thanks for watching. hop on down there and give a like and a subscribe to the old special Ned here, if this helped you out. Anyway, I'm out.